Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered how to create a professional looking blog without spending a penny? Well, today I'm going to guide you through creating a stunning, fully functional blog using material for MkDocs. If you're a fan of sleek, modern design, you're going to love how we leverage material design principles to craft a beautiful and clean blog interface. We'll cover everything you need to build a blog that not only looks great, but also includes essential features such as organizing posts with categories and tags, setting up an intuitive archiving system, customizing author details for each post, defining SEO-friendly Slug URLs, generating an RSS feed for easy content syndication, adding social media sharing buttons for increased reach, and even implementing a comment system for engaging with your audience directly. Make sure you stick around for the whole video because I'm going to show you how to deploy and host your blog completely for free on GitHub Pages. To make this journey even smoother, I've prepared a starter bundle packed with all the necessary dependencies and initial setup code you'll need. This means you can dive straight into building your blog without getting weighed down by configuration hassles. The starter bundle is available for free download via the link in the description below. If you're new to material for MkDocs or just need a quick refresher on the prerequisites, be sure to check out my previous tutorial that I've linked above here. By the end of this video, you'll have a fully functional blog ready to impress your audience. Are you ready to get started? Then let's dive in and start building your dream blog. Okay, so I'm here now in Visual Studio Code and I've just downloaded all of the starter files. Remember, you can get all of those files in the link from the description, and I've just unzipped that project and imported it here into VS Code. So let's just have a quick look through the files that this come with. So in here we've got the requirements.txt. This is basically all of the dependencies that we need to install and run the project with all of the correct version numbers. We've got our MkDocs YAML, which is just our basic setup file. And again, we're going to be adding a lot of configuration and code to this. We've got our gitignore file, and then in the docs we've just got a plain old index.md. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up our environment and we're going to install MkDocs. So I'm going to come up to the top here. I'm going to start a new terminal. So the first thing I need to do is I need to create my virtual environment. So to do that I do python -m v venv, then activate that environment with source venv bin activate. And now I'm going to install MkDocs material. So to do that I do pip install -r requirements.txt. So that's just going to take a few minutes just to download all of the dependencies for us, and then it should set up our development environment so that we can carry on working. Okay, it looks like that's finished, so let's check that it's working. So I'm just going to do MkDocs serve, and we can see at the bottom here that our site is running on localhost at port 8000. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to open up a browser and have it side by side so that we can have the code on one side and the terminal on the other, and then we can see all of the changes that we make as we go and update them. Okay, so I've just opened up a terminal window now. So in the right hand side I've got my localhost 8000, and that's our MkDocs website, and that's up and running successfully. Okay, so I'm going to close down the index.md file. I'm going to go back into my mkdocs.yaml file. The first thing I'll do is I'm going to change the site name. So I'm just going to call this Our Awesome Blog. And we're also going to add a site description as well. And let's just say a blogging site, blogging site built with material for MkDocs. I'm just going to turn on wrapping so that we can see that. I also want to set up light and dark color scheme as well, because I'm not a big fan of just the plain light scheme. So to do that, I just add this palette configuration. Let me save that. So now we can see our blog titles changed, and now I can change over to the dark scheme like this. So now let's set up our blog. So to do that, we need to add in the blog plugin. I'm going to add in some plugins down here. The first one I'm going to add in is just the search plugin, just so that we can easily search through all of our blog posts. And then of course I'm also going to add the blog plugin. And I actually want to set this up to just be a dedicated blog. So to do that I can add in an extra option for that. So we just say blog, I'll just make that equal to dots for now. This just means that we don't have to have a blog folder set up. We can just skip that and we can put all of our posts in the docs folder, as we'll see throughout this tutorial. So let me go ahead and save that. And this index.md file, I'm going to take all of this code out. I'm just going to replace that with #blog. So we can see there where we reloaded, now that we've got this empty post folder that's been created up here. So now we can go ahead and start adding some posts into this folder. So I'm going to right click, choose new file, We'll call this one first post.md. And in that first post, I'm just going to paste in the text for our first blog post. So let me just talk through this quickly. So just at the top here through the three double dashes here, we have some metadata. For now, we've just added in the date that we created the post. We then have the title of the post here under the heading 1. We then have some text for the blog post. We then have this more flag. And what this does is that all of the text above that more flag, that will appear on the index page for the blog. And then all of the text that appears under here will appear in the actual blog post itself. So let me go ahead and save that. We can see that our blog has now appeared over here. So we have the blog and the archive. We can see that our first post has appeared up here. If we click on the post, then we can go in and see the full post, and we've got the metadata on the left-hand side. So that's our basic blog set up and running straight away, just like that. So let's go ahead and create another post now. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it secondpost.md. And to save time, I'm just going to paste in my text for the post here, like so. Let me go back to the index page over here so that we can see that second post. So if we look in the metadata here, I've set this to be a draft post. And then if we look over here, we can see that it's flagging this post basically as a draft. So basically what happens is that this draft will appear in our development environment here because we're using MkDocs serve. But if we were to build this blog and then publish it, then this post wouldn't appear because we're writing it in a draft. So that's just one thing that you can do with drafts for MkDocs. The rest of it's basically the same, so we just have some text in here. This is the text that appears on the index page, and then when you go in, there's some more text underneath like so. That's the same text as this here. Let's also add in a third post. So I'll make another new file, call this thirdpost.md. Again, I'm going to paste in my post. So again, this one's pretty much the same, except we've got a bit more metadata here. So this time I've actually added in an updated date, and I've also specified the read time. So if we look here at the second post, MkDocs or material for MkDocs automatically determines what the read time is, but you can actually override that yourself if you want. So if I click on the third blog post, we can see now that the read time is set to 5 minutes. And we've got in the metadata the date that the post was created, which is here, and then the date that the post was updated as well. Okay, so we've got 3 posts now. I'm just going to close these down for a minute just to give us a bit more room. I'll save this first post as well before I do that. So at the moment, all of our posts are just going in this category here for posts, like so. So we could actually make another folder if we wanted to organize our posts a little bit better. So for example, say we wanted to have a post that contained all of our life updates, so all of our life update posts. So what we could actually do is in the post folder, we could create a new folder. So another subdirectory essentially, and we'll call that life. And let's create a new post in there. We'll just call that life update. .md. I'm just going to paste in the text for that blog post. Now, one thing that we might want to do in our posts is add images as well. So this is just a markdown thing, but let me just show you how to do that quickly. So in the live folder, I've just added this image. This is just a simple image that I've just generated from AI. And I want to bring this image, I want to bring that into the blog post. So to do that, we can just add this line here. So this time, this is basically saying to give the image a title of cartoon software engineer, and then it just points to the cartoon engineer1.png file that we just brought in. So if I just save that, if I go back to my index, and because we've put the image above the more flag, we can see the image gets rendered in our index page. So again, if we click on the post, we can see that we've got this image at the top of the post like so. So let's also look at how we can set up the archive. So at the moment, if we go to archive, all that we can choose is this 2024. And that's actually correct. All of our blog posts, we can see they are in 2024. So I'm just going to change a couple of these around. I'll maybe change the second post, change that to 2023. Let's say 2023-05. And I'll change the third post to be created in 2023 as well. So now if you look at our archive, you can see that we have 2024 and 2023. So again, material for MkDocs has set all this up automatically for us. So we could actually configure this archive a bit more if we wanted. So in our mkdocs.yaml, we can actually add in some options here. So if we add in this archive date format and the archive URL date format, so we could specify here if we wanted the archive, for example, to show the months instead, we could add and again, we can do the same if we wanted to change the URL. So if I save that, if I go on my archive now, we can see that it's been listed by the month instead. So I actually prefer to just have it by year, which is the default. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out these MMs and I'll just leave it on the 4Ys. But just know that you can configure your archive if you need to. Okay, so far our posts don't have any categories. So let's look at how we can add categories to our MkDocs material blog. So I'm just going to close these posts down first of all, just so that we're starting from a clean slate. So in the first post here, again, the only metadata that we've got at the moment is the date. So I'm going to add in now this categories. Let's just give it a categories of text. I'll save that. We go over to the second post. I'll add the category of tech as well. And let's also add a second category. So I'll add a second category of lifestyle. So yes, Material for MkDocs actually lets you specify more than one category. So I'm going to have 2 for this post. So for my third post, I'll also have a categories of just tech. And then in my life update, I'll add another category. Make sure that I format that correctly. And I'm just going to call this category life. And I'll save that one as well. Okay, so now let's have a look at our blog. So you can see here now that we've got this categories flags appears, and we have life, lifestyle, and tech. So if I click on life, we just see all of the posts with life, which is only 1. Lifestyle, we have this 1 post, and tech, we have 3 posts at the moment. So again, if we click on a post, we can see here that the category's been tagged here. We can click on it to go back and forward. So that's how we can easily add categories to our blog. Now you might want to restrict the users of your blog to only creating posts in certain categories. So to do that, you can define what the categories should be. And then if a post is created that doesn't match that category, the build will fail. So let's have a look at how to do that quickly. So I'm going to go over to the mkdocs.yaml. And down here in my blog, I'm just going to tidy up the formatting. And I'm going to add in this categories allowed. So now I'm only allowed the tech and the life categories. So if I save that, we can see here now at the bottom we're getting a build error message because the lifestyle category that we defined, that isn't in the categories allowed list. So let me go over to the second post and I'll just I'll take the style out of lifestyle, save that one, and now the build pass is okay. So that's how we can restrict the categories that we're allowed to create. Before we go on, if you're finding this video helpful, please remember to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in more tutorials on material for MkDocs, remember to check out my personal website. Again, I've left a link in the description down below. Okay, let's get back to building our blog. So as well as having categories, we can also add tags to our MkDocs material blog. So let's see how to do that now. So to add tags, I actually need to add in another plugin. So under the plugins down here, I'm going to add in this plugin for the tags plugin. And then I'm specifying this tags file, this tags.md file. So I actually need to go ahead and create that. So in the docs folder, I'm going to right click. I'm just going to create an empty file called tags.md. We can close that straight away. And also make sure that I save my mkdocs.yaml. Let's now add some tags to our posts. So in my first post here, I'm going to add the tag of technology. Save that. In my second post, I'll add a couple of different tags. I'll add tags for technology and also life updates. Again, save that. In my third post, I'll just add tag for technology again. And finally, in my life update, let me add one more tag in here and I'll just call this one life updates. Okay, let's save that. Let's have a look at our blog. So again, if I click on one of the posts now, we can see that we've got these tags appearing up the top. So for the first post, we've got this tag of technology. And if I was to click on that, we can actually see all of the tags that we have and all of the different posts that come under each of those different tags. So my second post, this one actually has 2 tags, life updates and technology. So another cool thing you might want to do in your material MkDocs blog is set up different authors. So let me show you how to do that. So in our docs folder up here, we need to create a new file and we call that .authors.yml. And in that file, this is where we add the details of our authors. So I've just added in 3 different authors here, one for myself, James, one for the team, and one for Squidfunk. So Squidfunk Martin is the creator of material for MkDocs. And then for each of those, we've added some more metadata. So I've added my name, the description, I've got the avatar that's going to appear next to my name, and then a URL to link to as well. And then you can actually add one or more authors to your blog posts. So in the first post one, I'm going to actually add 2 different authors. So I'll say this is by the team and by James. If I save that one, if we go and find the first blog post, you can see now that the authors, both of the authors appear. So the team one here and then my one here as well. And then you can also click on my name to go to the URL. So that was the URL that we defined in the authors file here, this one here. So let me quickly add authors to the other posts. I'll add author to the life update one, save that. I'll add an author to the second post. Let's say that this one was by Squidfunk. And for the third one, let's just say this was by the team. Okay, let's just have a quick look through those. So the life update, that's only got my author. If we go to the second post here, for example, we can see this one was by Martin. So that's how to add authors to our MkDocs site. Now another thing that you might want to change in your blog is what the slug is set to. And this is basically just the URL that appears at the top of the screen where the post lives essentially. So if we look at the moment, if I click on one of the posts, we can see that the post actually lives at this URL with the full dates. So 2024, 1106, etc. The way I actually like to set up my blog is that I prefer to not have the date in the slug. So I'm just going to show you how we could set that up. So over here in the mkdocs.yaml, I'm going to add in a new line just under the blog part. And that's this line here. So I'm going to add this key value for the URL format. So I just want the URL format to just be the plain slug. I just need to make sure that the indenting is correct. So I'll just move that in there like so. So now if I click on my post, we can see at the top here, it's just going to the title of the post. So it doesn't have the date in it anymore. Now at the moment, the slug is automatically generated and it's generated from the heading of the page. So at the moment for my first blog post, the slug is literally my first blog post. Now you could actually set that on a custom basis for each blog post. So let me show you how to do that. So I'll go into the first post.md and then in the metadata, I can literally just add a slug. So let's say I want to change the slug to my first post. So if I change that, that page is no longer there anymore. If I click on the post now, the slug has been updated here like so. So that's how you can change the slug in your blog. So it's actually really easy to add an RSS feed to your material for MkDocs blog. So let me show you how to do that. So in my MkDocs YAML, under the plugins, I'm going to add in the RSS plugin. And I've just added in this basic configuration that just shows that pretty print's on. And it's just going to grab some dates from the metadata. I'll just save that like so. That should create the RSS page. I can just go to that page by going directly to the URL, and then we can see that this RSS feed has been created. So now you would take this feed and then put it into any RSS feeder of your choice, and then you can see you can basically publish whenever a new post gets created on your site. So another thing you'll probably want to do on your blog is add social media buttons. So there's a couple of ways that we can do that. We can either have them added into the footer, or we can also have buttons that let you share your blog on social networks like LinkedIn or X directly. So let me show you both ways that we can do that now. So I'm here in my mkdocs.yaml. I'm just going to go down to the bottom and add in this bit of extra code here. So the first thing that I've done is added in this extra block for my social media. I've added in 4 different icons, and these will point to my different social media accounts. And also to get these icons to displayed, I've also added in this markdown extensions configuration as well. That just lets me display the icons such as the Twitter icon, the GitHub icon, etc. So if I just save that, if we look at our blog now, we can see down the bottom here, we've got these different social icons. These have all been added and these can all be clicked on like so. Now, if we want to let people share our specific post on social media, that's a little bit more involved and we do need to add some custom code to do that. So let me show you how to do that now. So first of all, in my mkdocs.yaml, I'm going to add in what's called a hook. So I'm going to add in this file, this hooks socialmedia.py file. So this is just going to be a Python file. And that file doesn't exist yet, so I need to create it. So I'm first going to create the hooks directory. And in that directory, I'm going to create a file called socialmedia.py. And let me add in the code for socialmedia.py and save that. So again, what this is basically going to do is just going to add some HTML to the bottom of our blog post, and it's going to provide a link for people to share our blog post. Now to get this to work, I do need to restart my server. So in the terminal, I'm going to do Control-C, and then I'll do mkdocs serve again. So when I do that, if I go back to my blog post now, we can see now we always get these two buttons appear. So these buttons here where we can share on X or share on Facebook, we can click on those and it will share the post on those sites. So again, we can do that on any of our posts. We always get this appear at the bottom here like so, which allows us to share on social media. So we're going to look now at how we can add comments onto our blog. Now to do this, we're going to use a third-party application, and that application is called Discuss. Now this Discuss app, this integrates with GitHub, and so in order to get this to work, we are first going to need to push our code up to GitHub. But we need to do this anyway in order to deploy our site on the internet. So let's have a look now at how we can get this set up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my GitHub. Let me create a new repository. I'll just call this MkDocs blog demo. I'll leave all that blank for now and just click create repository. I'll copy this line here so that I can add the repo. Down here in my terminal, I'm going to paste in that command. Actually, before I do that, I need to remove the existing repo. So I do git remote remove origin. Oops, origin. Now I can paste in that command to add in the new origin, and I'm just going to push up here, so say git push origin main. So now if I refresh over here, I should see my code's being uploaded to GitHub, and it has, that's good. So the first thing that I need to do to get this working is to enable discussions. So I'm going to go into the settings here, and I think if I scroll down, yes, I can tick here to enable discussions. Next up, I need to install the GitHub app. So to do that, I just go to this address here, and I've already got it installed, but I'm going to configure it for my repository instead. So for you, it might just say install here instead if you haven't installed it before. So just click install if not. Okay, so I'm just going to find my repository. It's called MkDoc blog demo. There we go. I'll find that repository and I'll just click save. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I need to go to the GitHub homepage here. And let's just go through a few of the settings that we need. So I've got my language here set to English. I need to set my repository. So the repository I created is this one here. Let's change this to discussion title contains page title. For discussion category, let's choose announcements. And under features, let's make sure we've got enable reactions for main post, emit discussion metadata, and place the comment box above the comments. Under the theme, make sure that you select preferred color scheme. So now let's copy this script that's been generated here. So I'm just going to copy that onto my clipboard. And now back in my repo, I need to make a new repository. So I call this overrides /partials. And in that folder, I need to create a new file, and I'll call it comments.html. And then I just paste in the scripts that I just generated on Discuss and then save that. And then the last thing to do at the top of my MkDocs YAML, just under the theme, I'll just put in that custom directory that we just created for the overrides. So make sure that we save that as well. Okay, let's see if this works. So let's start up the blog again. So I'll do MkDocs serve again. If I come back over to my blog, if I go onto my life update post, we can see at the bottom here that we now have the option to fill in comments. So let me just try out a test comment. Test a comment. And we can see that the comments appeared. We can also add reactions to our post as well. So if I want to add a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And so that's how we can add comments into our MkDocs blog site. So another cool thing that I like to add to my blogs is information when someone has made an update to the page, and that basically appears in the data at the bottom of the post. So let me show you how to set that up quickly. So to do that, we need to add in a couple of more plugins. So in my plugins section, I'm just going to add in those plugins. So at the bottom here, I've added these two plugins, one for Git committers and one for Git revision date localized. So note that I've set the repository to my repository here. And I'm also using my GitHub token. So this GitHub token is just set up in my terminal. So you'll need to do that if you want to do this as well. So to get this to work, we're going to need to push our latest code changes up. So to do that, I'm just going to make a new commit to main. So I'm going to do git add dots, git commit -m, adding git committers. And let's push to the main branch. Okay, let's start up our local blog again with MkDocs serve. If I now go into one of my pages, we can see at the bottom below, we get this data with the date that the post was created, when it was updated, and who it was updated by. So if I look at one of my other posts as well, it should have similar sort of information. So it's got it here for the My First Blog Post. It's got the date, the actual date that I updated it, which is today's date. Okay, so the final thing for us to do now is to actually publish our blog on GitHub Pages. So let me show you how to do that. Now, just as a reminder, I did cover this in quite detail in my previous video, so if you want to see this in a bit more depth, do check that out, but let's run through it quickly here anyway. So the first thing that I need to do is add the .github/workflows folder. And then I'm going to add a new file called ci.yml. So I'm just going to paste in the CI file here, and what this will basically do is when there's a push to the master or main branch, it's basically going to build our project for us. Okay, so let's go ahead and push up to this branch now. So in the terminal, just going to do git add again, git commit, setting up for CI deploy, and then git push origin main. Okay, let's go over to our GitHub. Let's go over to our settings. And just go over to pages. We're going to say deploy from a branch, and we're going to choose the GitHub Pages branch. This is the branch that should have just been created just as we pushed. Make sure you hit save there. And if we go over here now, if we go over to our actions, we should see here that this should appear. And this should show us that our pages or our documentation site is being built. So this should just take a few seconds to run through and deploy. And then if we click on the deploy job here, it says our site's been deployed and it should be available at this URL. So just click on this URL, and then we have our blog deployed on the internet, available for anyone to access, and we can share it with whoever we like. In this tutorial, we successfully built and hosted a beautiful blog using material for MkDocs and GitHub Pages, all at no cost. If you create your own blog following this guide, I'd love to see your work. Please share a link in the comments below so I can check it out and support your journey. I hope you found this video both informative and inspiring. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tutorials like this. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.